By the name of Allah, the most compassionate and most merciful. So, hope everyone is fine and well. It's a great opportunity once again that I'm presenting another lecture regarding the motivation, which would be the fifth lectures in the subject of psychology. So, today we're going to discuss about the motivations, the role of motivations and performance of the employees in the organizations, importance of the motivation in different types, and the theory that has been given by different social scientists and psychologists regarding the motivations. So let us begin with the motivations. That, as you better know, that motivations is one of the most important missing word in our country, even specifically in various departments of in various organizations, whether that is private or that is public organizations, or whether that is any manufacturing place, or whether that is family. The only missing word that we are having, that is motivations. So due to motivations, so many conflict arises in the organizations as well as within the family members. So we are facing a lot of problem. It is because of motivations. There is no motivations among the working employees as well as in the family. So that leads to many conflicts and many problems around the clock. So, as there is a very nice quotation in English regarding the motivation, that a great man is one who can make a small man feel great and perform great. So this sentence has a deepest meaning and concept in itself. If you look at that, if you would like to be a great man, so you have to make the small people to feel great and make them to perform, to do the great works. It is only possible that to do and to motivate, to energize them, to make them active, to make them prepare for the actions. So that is why motivation brings a lot of positive changes in the life of individual as well as organization and families among the family members. So let us anything we want to do has a motive behind. If there is a want, there is a desire, there is hunger, there is revenge, or everyday words which we refers to our motives. For example, a boy wants to be a doctor. For example, another man wants to be a scientist. A man strives for political powers. A person in a great pains long for. Some people who are in pains, I mean they're in difficult conditions, they also always would like to curve and play for the relief. And another person is awfully hungry and thinks of nothing, but he is always thinking about the food. A person is thirsty, he is thinking about nothing but about only thinking about waters. So a woman works hard to achieve a feelings of success. So there are few of the motive that plays a large part in human behaviors. So psychologists are very interested to identify the different motives or factor in order to answer the questions such as why do people choose a particular goal for which they are going to strive and struggle. So what specific motives direct their behaviors for achievement of their goals. So whatever we do, whatever we are thinking, whatever we wish to have it in futures or in present, there is a motive behind. So that motive has directed our behaviors, that sustain us to direct our behavior towards achievement of that goals in that importance stage of life. So politicians are always struggling in order to get the power, authority in the government. So there is a motive behind why they would like to get a power and authority. So for example, a shopkeeper always want to have more customers, to have more benefits. So there's motive behind that, why he wants more customers. So a family members, a father and mother want their son, want their daughter to be the great person in their life. So they think about their family members to be the greatest one in the society. So there is a motive behind. So for example, a students would like to get a great marks. Why he would like to get a great marks? There is a motive behind. So teacher always motivate their students towards study. Why to motivate the student towards study? There is a motive behind, to make them the great peoples, to serve the people greatly in the societies. As well as a man strive for finding the food. So he would be thinking about how to find food. So he is thirsty, he is hungry, that is why he is searching for it. So the motive behind is that they are thirsty. So motivation plays a major role in the human's life. The same is, for example, if organization want to achieve their targets with a specific limited time, with limited utilization of the resources, so they always put a pressure and make the employee to be motivated organization from different angle, from different sources, to do the best work in the organization, that they could achieve the targets very soon. So there is a motive behind that. So generally we can say that itself the word motivation comes from the motive words, which is a Latin words. The meaning is needs, which means which means needs, desire, wants, or drive within the individual. When we feel needs, when we feel desire and wants, this needs and desire and wants drives us in order to go after our work to achieve the target, which means to move. So the term motivation literally means to move or to energize, to give energy to somebody to go and to be active, to make them to activate himself for achieving the targets. In this sense, anything that is responsible for internal and external activity may be called motivations. So always motivation almost refers to the process that initiates, sustains, and directs our behaviors. This is the meaning of motivation. And as we can say that itself, motivation is the process of stimulating the people to actions to accomplish the goal. Mainly we're going to inhabit, to activate, energize, and to move the people in order to go after their targets, to achieve them. So in the work, when we talk about the work goal, and we talk about the context and the context of the work goal, when we talk about the motivation, so there are some psychological factors. These psychological factors stimulating the people behaviors that can be desired for many success, recognition, job satisfaction, and teamworks. So one of the most important, we can say that motivation is one of the most important function of management, is to create a willingness amongst the employees that they perform the best of their abilities. Therefore, the role of leader is to arouse interest and performance of the employee in their jobs. So mainly the motivations is a process that is a psychological process that starts with the needs, desire, and wants, and this needs, desire, and wants directs the behavior of a person towards achievement of their specific goals. So if we define the motivations, so it is defined differently by different psychologists, as it is defined that motivation is a driving force that initiates and directs the behavior of a person. So mainly we can say that it is a sort of a force. When you bring pressures and force over something, so things will take actions, and finally the result and output will come out. For example, if we would like to push the door which is almost closed but it is not locked, when you push the door, it means almost you will find a space to enter the room. So that is what you bring a force and you achieve the target. Itself, motivation is an internal process of a psychological process that is bringing force over the brain and the psychology of a person, and that person becomes ready to go and directs their behavior toward a particular actions to achieve the targets. So motivation, we can say it's a sort of internal energy which drives a person to do something in order to achieve some things. یک نوع از تشویق خود یک انگیزه یا تشویق یک نوع از انرژی هستند که انسان را مکلف به این می‌سازد، مجبور به این می‌سازد که پشت کار خود شود و به هدف خود شود و هدف خود را به دست بیاره، تا که انسان احساس ضرورت نکنه و تا که انسان فکر در مورد یک چیزی به شکل مثبت نکند و او مجبور نسازد و احساس کمبودی نکند، تا وقت انسان انگیزه پیدا نمیکند. ما اگر گرسنه بشیم، خب گرسنگی خودش به ما این انگیزه میده که ما باید بریم آشپزخانه یک لقمه نان پیدا کنیم. همین قسم اگر ما بخوایم که تشنه هستیم، همین تشنگی خودی باعث این میشود که ما را انگیزه میده که بریم به یخچال یا ترموز یا گلاس پیدا کنیم آب بنوشیم. So this is the motivations. There is a lacking deficiency of something that caused you to go after achieve your targets. So motivation refers to state within the organisms that drives behavior towards some targeted goals, as well as motivation is the set of reason that determine one to engage in particular behaviors. So we're all people, human in the societies, are being motivated. So the motive behind that is why they are motivated, and everyone is from morning up to evening they are in struggle, they are working to achieve their own targets. So that's because of motives and motivations. So the next slide we are talking about now that the nature of motivations. As it is said that motivation is an unending process. So this process will never end. For example, let's suppose you have been motivated to achieve one target. So later on, that is not the final stage. Another needs will arise here. So you will be motivated to go ahead again for that to achieve. So when one needs or motive is finished and has satisfied and needs of a person is fulfilled, next need will start. So motivation is an unending process. It doesn't mean you have achieved the targets and it's enough. No, it's unending. Again you will feel the needs of something, and after that you will get that one. So it's a psychological concepts. So mainly we're working on the psychology of a person's. We're mainly working on the mentality of a person's to finally convince him, make him prepare for an actions, to make him to direct their behaviors towards achievement of their goal. So we would like to work on their mind. So that is why we say it's a psychological concept. So another thing that we would like to say regarding the nature of motivation, it is concerned with each and every individual of organizations. So this is the motivation is one of the main parts and concerning issue in every organizations. So motivation is always hampered and it becomes an obstacle. Frustrations and disappointment, worries and unhappiness is always hampering and making a block for the motivation, and a person become demotivated. So frustration and disappointment is always the word that really destroy the importance of motivation for a person. So motivation leads to goals. Motivation itself, it leads to the goal. So motivation is leading the person toward achievements of a goal. So it's leading to goals. It means it's a goal oriented process. Now the importance of motivation, it leads to high level of performance of organization. It means that if employees are being motivated, so they will do the best of their work and they will use their final capacities and final capability will be put on work, and finally they will do the best things in the organizations. So it is increasing the level of performance among the organization. If there is no motivations, so everyone will be escaping from the work and they will always be making themselves lazy to do the work on the proper time. So that's why motivation is a force, is a forcing word that is almost bringing some positive changes on the psychology of employees, that they do the best and it increases the performance of organization into the right level. So a motivated employee can stay in the organization more and their absenteeism is quite low. I mean that if employees are very much happy from the working conditions and the relation among the employees in upper or top level management is very quite good. So employees are motivated, they will have a quite most of the time they would be present in their works stations, but there will be limited or there will be no absenteeism from their works. And this motivation cause the willingness of employee to work hard. They make them to be willingly work hard in the organization and achieve the work, because they are being motivated. Their times and their values are not being wasted in the organizations. So this motivation drives the best result for the goals, as well as this motivation is helping in building a good relationships among the different employees in the organizations. When there is a good relation, when there is a good communications, the laborers and employees organizations in the organization structure relation become very much stronger and stronger. So everyone is close to each other, loving each other. So definitely it will build some good relations because of the motivations. In itself, motivation is a very important management tool. So if you would like to get work from the people who are working with you in your organizations, so you have to use this management tool to have to motivate them. By motivating of your employee, the input of their work will increase and the output will definitely increase, and finally you will see a positive result in the organization. So that is why we say it's an important tools of management. So that's why, as I earlier told you in my lecture, that the only missing word in the organizations, that is motivations. That is the motivation word in the family, in the organization, in the society. That's why we are being mismanaged, and that's why we say it's tools of management. As well as motivation improve the relation between the upper level, middle level and top level management and lower level management employees. So the employee relation will become great among each other. If that is in any level, it's because of the motivation. So motivation always decreases the wastage and accidents. So everybody would be sincerely working on the organization, that they would not waste the resources of organization, they would not waste the time of organizations. So it will decrease because of their motivations in the workplace. So this motivation puts human resources into actions, how to mobilize and utilize the human resources in the organization. If you put if you put pressures and bring do something great for our employee in the organization, so their work will their activity or their work will come into a visible conditions, and their action will be visible, and finally all the resources will be put into actions and organization goal will be quite easy to achieve. So this motivation also improves the level of efficiency of employees. It's quite clear, where there is motivation, there is efficiency, there is potentialities, there is capabilities, there is more energy in employees, so definitely the efficiency level increase and they will do best. So this will lead to increase in productivity, finally in the reducing cost of operations and improving overall efficiency will occur and take place because of the motivations. So motivation is important to an individual. It's important to every single one individual person. Motivation will help you achieve your personal goal, and if an individual is motivated, he will have a good job satisfactions. And motivation will help in self-development of individual, and an individual would always gain by working with the dynamic teams. So motivation is very important for individual, for every person's, because self-development, self-dependencies, self-confidence, and being self-qualified is only possible by the word motivation. It means, let us, if you individually achieve your targets, you have to go after the motivations. And as well as motivation is very much important for leading to achieve the organization goal as well. So this motivation will lead to achievement of the organizational goals. So the goals of an enterprise and company can be achieved only when the following factors take place. First, there is best possible utilization of resources, and there is a cooperative working environment, and the employees are goal directed and they act in a purposive manner, and goals can be achieved if coordination and cooperation take place simultaneously, which can effectively done through the motivations. Now, if the utilization of the resources take place in a proper way, as well as there is a working environment where they love to each other and they cooperate in each other, they work like a team in a place where you are working, as well as all the people are having goal-oriented targets in order to work in a purposive manner to achieve the targets. So all these will help in the achievement of organizational goals. So that is because of the word motivations. And motivation is important to a business as well. So the more motivated the employee are, the more empowered the team is. The more the teamwork and individual employee contributions, more profitable and successful the business will be. So motivation will lead to an optimistic and challenging attitudes at working place. So it is not only important for individual organization, but it's very important for the business activity. The word motivation to be properly used, and this word should be properly used as a concept in organizations in a practical shapes that could help better the achievement of organizations. So that is important not only for individual but also as a business. So now, motivation process. The process of motivation consists of the 3 stages. It means that where and how and when the motivation started, a motive behind an action becomes started in a person compelled to go after that to achieve the targets. Number 1, when there is a felt need or drive. It means when there is lack of deficiency, when there is requirement of the body to achieve something, a desire is found there. So then a person will gonna be motivated. A motive behind that will find, and you will go and after that, and you will be achieving your targets. Secondly, a stimulus in which needs have to be aroused. It means that stimulation of work is very much important. Who stimulated you? Who inhibited you? Who gave you the thoughts to go after this and achieve these targets? So that is the second thing which happens in the process of motivations. Number 3 is when needs are satisfied, the satisfactions or accomplishment of goals. Therefore, motivation is psychological phenomena, which means needs and wants of the individual have to be tackled by framing and incentive plans. So, in the motivation process, there are 3 words which is very important for starting of the process of motivations. And a person become motivated and finally goes after to achieve his target. That is first thing is that is needs. So what is needs? Need is a deficiencies someone is feeling. It might be a physiological or psychological imbalance. This psychological and physiological imbalance is leading the persons to creation of a need. When the imbalance take place around in the body, whether that is psychological and that is physiological, so this will create some needs, and finally a person will be motivated to fulfill these needs. So second thing, that is drives. So what is drive? Drive is a forcing for is a drive is a forcing process in which an individual is going to attain their goal or satisfy their needs. Now the second state after the need, what is the lack of deficiency of something in the body, it creates another state that is called drive. This drive compels the person to go after and fulfill and achieve the targets that is being targeted. And finally, when somebody goes after the drives, when he satisfies himself, that's called incentive. So anything that can mitigate or that decrease or less a need and decrease the intensity of a drive, that is called motivation. And the motivation process, that is called incentive. So in the process of motivations, we talked about needs. That needs, what is need? A motivating force that compels, that make a person's and makes him compel to do an action for his satisfactions. So needs is ranging from a very basic survival need by necessities to cultures, intellectual and social needs satisfied by necessities. So needs are infinite. It means that needs are finite. Is in contract. So in contrast to the wants. So in the process of motivation, the first thing that is being arose, that is unsatisfied needs. So unsatisfied needs create tension that stimulate the drive within an individual to generate a search behavior to fence particular goals. If attained, will satisfy the need and reduce to tensions. Now what start here? The first, that is unsatisfied needs. So this needs is the deficiency, the lack of something that a person is facing. Now the first stage in motivation process, who are going to be prepared for action, he have to feel of the need of something. If someone does not feel needs of something, so definitely he will not be motivated for the actions. After that, this need will create attention to the person. This will make a worries and tension and stress to the person. Finally, this tension will drive and force the person to compel the person to go after, achieve that, to go after in search a certain manner, a certain behaviors, to go after that by following a certain manner, a certain behavior, in order to search for the goals. After that, a person searched much, and finally he find the needs what he wanted. That would be called satisfy needs. When we satisfy our needs, and what will happen, that stress and tension will release, there will be the reductions. But a need is an internal state that makes a certain outcome attractive. So this is what it starts from the needs and it finish release of attention. This is a motivation process. Let's suppose if a student would like to have a great marks in the class or to get a position in a class. Now we have to feel a needs, that why he should be given a marks, or why he should be given a positions, or why he is struggling for a positions. So it might be a need in the society, and a family might have told him that if you got a positions in a class, we would be giving you this and this and that and this. So that is what that becomes the needs. Like for example, very simply, I am feeling thirsty. So this is a psychological deficiencies. This is a physiological deficiency in my body. I feel thirsty. So this unsatisfied need creates me tension. If I don't take water, so it may cause more problem. Then after that, this creating a tension. So after tensions, I am being compelled to go and search for finding the water. Once I found the water and drank, so my needs will be satisfied, reduction of tension will be released. As well as this is motivation process. Psychological in physiological deficiency, that is a need, and after that individual behaves a central manner, so this is a drive or motive behind, and finally once a person achieve a particular goal, and that is incentive. So this motivation process ends here. Again by the next time this will another need will start. So this is an unending process. So we have different types of different types of needs. So biological needs, the fundamental needs for existence are like, for example, water, oxygen and food. There is called biological need, upon which we exist and survive. Needs for rest, when tired, being active when resting, need for sleep, regular elimination of waste product from the body, protect from threats of external disaster, sensory needs, which are demands of our senses for survival, internal body temperature and sex. These are the biological needs, and it is important for the survival of humans and existence of a society. So that comes in a biological needs, while we also have socio-psychological need as well. So the socio-psychological needs, which is the secondary need as well. If we don't get it, it's never a matter. But if you get it, it might be positive thing for us. But if you don't get it, we will still survive. So for example, the need of freedom or independence, that is one. Need of security, need of love and affections, need of to achieve, need of social company, and needs for recognition or social approval. These are all psychological needs. Now motivational, there is some motivation incentive. This incentive is very important for the employees. So what is incentive? Is an act or praise for greater actions. It is called as a stimulus to greater actions. If you would like to get a works from someone, if you would like to work your employees in a best way, then you have to provide him a motivation incentive. So incentive means additional remunerations or benefit to an employee in recognition of achievements or better work. Employee did a great job, a great work, so you give an incentive, so that incentive creates a sort of motivations. It gives a sort of motive to the person that I did the great, that's why I'm being praised and appreciated in the organization, so next time he will do it again. So incentive is a natural thing that nobody acts without a purpose behind. So everybody do works because of there's a purpose behind that. So therefore, a hope for a reward is a powerful incentive to motivate the employees. Beside monetary incentive, there are job satisfactions, which is called non-monetary incentive. So it is also comes job security, job promotion, and pride for accomplishment. It also comes in the motivations. And needs, discussing about the need for incentive can be why we need for the incentive. This incentive, if we give this incentive, it means we are motivating the employee because we are taking the works from them in to achieve the organizational targets and goal. So this incentive will do what? They will increase the productivity. It means productivity will not automatically increase, but the human resource will work in the right way, in the best way. So this will they will create and increase the productivity level. This is what to drive or arouse a stimulus work. The need for incentive is to enhance commitment in work performance, to psychological satisfy a person, which leads to job satisfaction, to shape the behavior or outlook of a subordinate towards the work, to include zeal, enthusiasm toward the work, and we need the incentive. If you would like to make the zeal and interest of your employee and work more, then you have to give an incentive to work hard. and to get maximum of their capability, so they are exploited and utilized maximally. So that's why it's needed to be given an incentive. So we have some positive incentive as well as negative. So positive incentives are those incentives which provide a positive assurance for fulfilling the needs and wants. Positive incentives generally have an optimistic attitude behind, and they are generally given to satisfy the psychological requirements of employee. For example, you're giving a promotions, you're praising your employee, appreciating your employees, and you're giving an extra allowance to the employee. It is all by nature a positive. So this is a positive incentive which creates a sort of a great environment within the minds of a persons, and you change the psychology of the persons, of the employee, then he is trying their best to do and achieve the best in the organization. So that is a positive incentive. As well, beside we have a negative incentives as well, which will be in forms of, for example, with an organization, if the employees are doing something wrong, you find them, you transfer them. For example, you do not give them demotion, you give them demotion, not promotion, and you give them penalty because of the wrong work he has done in the organizations. So this will give an employee a sort of warning. If I do this thing wrong, so I would not be promoted, but I would be demoted. I will not be staying here anymore, but might be transferred, or I will be fired. Fine and penalty will be given. So a negative incentive are those whose purpose is to correct the mistake of a defaults of employee. So we do this for the reason that to make the mistake of a employee to resolve the issue. The purpose is to rectify a mistake in order to get effective result. So negative incentive is generally resorted to when positive incentive does not work, and a psychological setback has to be given to employee. So it is by nature negative. So motivation, if you would like to motivate anyone in any place where they are being employed, we would achieve the targets in no times, and we would be given a highly appreciated remarks and statement in any organizations if we are being motivated for the work done. So it is a force that is leading the person toward the goals. So this was about the motivations. So definitely facing any problem might be during the lecture times. So once the physical existence take place in the coming time, inshallah, all the issue will be resolved. Till goodbye. Till next time. Allah Hafiz. Wish you all the best.